Well, hey, it's good to see you again. My name is Jada Ben. Welcome back to another episode of Bootleg Breakdown, where we talk about all the unofficial releases of bootlegs and counterfeits in my ever-growing record collection and what makes them all so darn special. But first, we're going to talk about what is playing in the background just right over there today, and that is going to be the debut album from Russian death metal band Phantasm, entitled Keepers of Death, released in 1993 on Russian Disc Records, later reissued in 2023 by Nuclear War Now Records here in Austin, Texas. Definitely a really, really good album. It's a three-piece death metal band that features a lot of sort of that 80s style, bands like Death and Possessed and Morbid Angel, and all of those awesome bands from the time frame. Definitely recommend checking this out. It's been getting a little bit more rotation here lately, since I've gotten it on vinyl very, very recently, but I highly recommend checking it out nonetheless. Phantasm, Keepers of Death, in the background just right over there today. And it's funny that we have that band in the background today because, again, one of those possible influences is the first topic of today's video, and that is going to be Death with Destroy All Posers and Wimps, released in 2025 on Reek of Death Records, though this is actually the band's Infernal live demo tape released in December of 1984 independently. This particular edition features the band playing sometime in 1984. I'm not sure where, and I'm not exactly sure when, but I'll put it on the screen there just to confirm because this didn't come with an insert. This is the band in its very, 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 very early form. Not Mantas early, but Death early. Features a lot of tracks that would later go on to make Death tracks such as Infernal Death, Evil Dead, a bunch of other tracks on here as well, such as Reign of Terror, Legion of Doom, Witch of Hell, and Corpse Grinder, which wouldn't go to make anything as far as I'm aware. Maybe a couple other demo appearances, maybe a compilation appearance, but nothing in the official album sense. This record is just awesome nonetheless. Some really good qualities considering the time frame that this is in. It's really, really good nonetheless. The color that this came on was this sort of white marbled edition. It's got some marbling. It's kind of hard to tell. There, you might be able to see that there. But either way, just a really, really awesome bootleg nonetheless. I'm an absolutely massive fan of Chuck Schuldiner and all of his work. So to have a demo like this on vinyl is just one of the reasons why I do have some bootlegs in my collection. Death, Destroy All Wimps and Posers. Go and check it out, see if you can find a copy. I'll try to link to the Discogs page in the description, so if you want to buy a copy, maybe check there. I don't know how much longer these are going to be up for, but definitely worth checking out nonetheless. We're going to kind of continue in that sort of mid to late 80s metal adjacent album releases. This one is actually a studio album, so very, very happy to have this. I'm talking about Sepultura with Schizophrenia, released in 1987 on Cogumelo Records, though later reissued unofficially by an unknown label in 2024. This particular release is one of my favorites. I know they did the reissued version as Cavalera not too long ago, but something always speaks to me about the original release itself. I don't believe this is remastered to any degree. But of course you've got some amazing tracks on here, such as From the Past Comes the Storms, Escape to the Void, which is one of my favorite Sepultura songs of all time. And you've also got Septic Schizo, as well as R.I.P. Rest in Pain. Definitely the band at its thrashiest and a little more death metal than the band would later become in the future, but definitely something to cherish nonetheless. I picked this up, funny enough, also from Nuclear War Now Records. This one's actually got a printed insert with it, and it has the Sepultura logo on the backside of the inner sheet there. But there were a wide variety of colors with this one. When I ordered it, I did not know exactly what color I was going to get. Nuclear War Now just said, hey, we're just going to send these out at random, and whatever you get is what you get. I know there was a blue and orange merge, there was a purple version, there was a brown version, and then the version that I got, which was this gray marbled edition, which was actually really, really cool. I think the only one I would have liked also was that blue and orange merge. I'll put a picture of it on screen if I can find it. It's really, really cool. All of these are still actually widely available online as far as I've been able to see. I haven't seen any of these copies like stopped selling in recent times. So definitely still available to a degree. I know the last time this album got reissued, I think was in 2014 or 2015, and it was on blue vinyl. And of course, this falls victim to one of my least favorite labels of all time, Roadrunner Records, that just kind of holds on to releases nowadays and doesn't press anything. So sometimes a bootleg like this is the answer to those problems. Sepultura, Schizophrenia, awesome record, really good quality bootleg. Highly recommend checking it out. It's going to be a very heavy 80s and 90s episode for this one. But this one, we're going to kind of go back to what Death had almost, and a demo release of sorts, though this is a compilation. I am talking about Napalm Death, with compilation of their 1985 and 1986 demos, released in 2019 on an unspecified label. If there is one, I will put it on screen there. But I picked this up at a little sort of boutique shop in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Some other assorted items in there, but I did find a crate just full of absolutely awesome vinyl records. I had to pick this up because I'm also a massive Napalm Death fan, and this material is very, very hard to come by in any form. I don't believe it was done on any compilations whatsoever, and that's also because it doesn't include Barney Greenway, so I can imagine that not a lot of people have a wide span for it. Though this considers the band's Hatred Surge demos, which was recorded in October of 1995, as well as the From Enslavement to Obliteration demos, which was recorded in 1986. Features some awesome tracks on here, such as Abattoir, Control, Caught in a Dream, and on the B-side, we've got some well-known songs, such as Multinational Corporations, Siege of Power, as well as You Suffer, in a very, very early form. Such an awesome thing to see, nonetheless. This was licensed... It says it was licensed by a guy named Nick Bullen, though, again, I found this to be a bootleg. There were 670 copies pressed on a couple of different colors. I believe there's also a white version, though I just have the standard black edition. I don't remember the exact limitation of this variant in specific, but once again, I will go ahead and put it on screen if I can find it for you. Definitely not the best quality of recording. Once again, this is pretty early in the 80s, and this was definitely the band in its infancy, but it's still really, really cool to have nonetheless. Napalm Death demos 1985 and 1986. Check it out if you can find it. Gonna continue forward just a little bit further to the year of 1990. The big four of thrash here in the United States are making their way through things, and one of the bands in that year releases possibly their best album that they have ever done. No, I'm not talking about Metallica. I'm talking about Megadeth with Rust in Peace, released in 1990, though this was reissued in 2024 on an unknown label. I will say that the quality of this bootleg is a bit garbage. The cover, I'm not sure if you can tell, maybe if I get a little closer, is very, very blurry. It's almost as if you pulled an image off the internet and just stretched it and didn't deal with image compression or anything like that. So not exactly the best quality, though I can say the music on it is pretty darn good, if I dare say so. The insert is also another example of that. So funny enough, I store my records with the seam on the top here, but this is sideways. So you're supposed to look at it like this. There's Dave Ellefson and Mr. Nick Menza, and then we've got Marty Friedman and Dave Mustaine on the other side there. This particular vinyl color is this nice light blue, though I believe it was listed on Discogs as random color. I don't know exactly what other colors were available in this instance. There's one other little thing that I'm going to show you. It's not exactly very apparent, but if you look inside... Let me see if I can get a good shot of this for you. If you look inside, there is a basic recreation of the album cover here using Team Fortress 2 characters. I don't want to rip the whole thing open, so if I can find a full widespread image of somebody that has done the thing, I'll go ahead and put it on screen there for you, but it's definitely an interesting way of printing a record, and I guess that even exposes this more as a bootleg more than anything. But still something that I can't exactly easily find, considering it is long out of print. and the colored versions of this go for some insane money. So I'm very, very happy to have a copy of this nonetheless. Once again, that is Megadeth with Rust in Peace. For our final release of today, we are going to step out of that 1980s and 1990s theme, but we're going to step right into the early 2000s with one of the biggest industrial bands to step out of the European scene in that time frame. I am talking about none other than Rammstein. This is the release Sultana Letter, released in 2020 on ME Multimedia, though this release consists primarily of 1990s and 2000s material. I believe that this was this label's alternate to the Raritaten LP that came in a specific box set. The only reason I picked this up is because I had a little bit of a infatuation with that particular release back in 2016 and 2017. So when I started getting into vinyl collecting, I saw this and the track listing, I was like, kind of a no-brainer, just a bunch of deep cuts from the band's past, such as You Hate, which is the Du Hast English version. We've got Hallelujah, which I believe was a B-side to one of the Mutzer singles. You've got Das Modell by Kraftwerk. You've got Stripped by Depeche Mode. You've got some instrumentals. You've also got some older tracks on here. Bootleg is on here as well, and I don't know why. I suspect it might possibly be a demo or a live version, but I'll put it on screen there as well. It's such an interesting release to it. Once again, no printed insert for this, but this came on just a standard black vinyl. I do believe there was also a red vinyl version. This particular black copy is limited to 300 copies. I don't know about the red one. I think it might be 200 off the top of my head, but I'll put it on screen there. The quality on this is actually pretty darn good. I'm really, really surprised, but for how much that one Raritaten LP goes by itself, and considering the fact that it was just in a box set all by itself, I think this is going to have to hold me over for the meantime. Again, Rammstein, I don't listen to them as much as I used to, but still, just an interesting piece of bootleg history to have. Rammstein, Sultana Later. And that is going to wrap it up for today's episode of Bootleg Breakdown. I tried to do 5 records per episode to kind of span it out and almost follow the same template as my Wax Showcase videos, but as at this point, I really only have about 2 more that I could talk about in the near future, so I don't have enough for another episode, which is fine. It means it gives me a little more time to space out another episode, so whenever I do get some more, we'll do another episode of this in the future. So I think this series is going to be just kind of sporadic as I hit 5 more as we go. But in the meantime, I appreciate you sticking around. Stay safe, stay metal, and I will see you next time.